picked up that school and put it on Edinburgh Castle. So that's actually where you get Hogwarts from, that on top of that. Now, as for the castle, we know people have been living up here since around 850 BC, though unfortunately we know very, very little about the first settlers. We had to wait for the Romans. Now, all we know about the first settlers is from archaeological digs. We know there was a tiny ring fort made out of stone about this high with a thatched roof on top, like that. When the Romans came here in the 1st century, they wrote about a small wooden fortification that was held by a group of Picts, which called themselves the Voldini. Now, the Picts are what the Romans called the natives here. They used to fight the Romans naked with blue pitchers all over their bodies. And by the way, in Roman times, to fight someone naked means you are the bravest person ever. Now, the clan that called themselves the Voldini put up 9 shrines to 9 pagan goddesses. And the Romans found this really weird. So there was mainly men up there, yet they only worshipped women. So the Romans called the place the Castle of the Maidens. However, the Voldini called it Dun Eden. Dun meaning settlement and Eden being someone's name. They're not entirely sure which Eden it refers to. But eventually the Romans are pushed out by the Picts. Now, there's a great story about a Roman legion going through a field, and they see this Pictish woman farming. She looks up, sees the Romans, strips completely naked, grabs her farming tool, and runs at them. And this one Roman wrote, "This woman is braver than we are." So the Romans leave, and sadly, so do the written accounts. So go through another dark period until we eventually get the Britons up here. They are the natives of nowadays England. They take this territory, and in the 6th century, the legend goes that the Minzdog the Open-Handed, the king, had a feast inside Dunedin, which went on for a year. Now, he's having this long feast because he's preparing for a big war that's coming. The Angles have invaded, and they're kicking all the Brits over to nowadays Wales, and they're establishing Angleland, nowadays England. Now the Angles are pushing north. So Minnog and his men go down south to face the Angles, and they're slaughtered. So the Angles come up here, they take this territory, and they give Dunedin an Anglo name. They drop the Pictish Dun. As time goes on, Eden becomes Edin, and then they add their own word fortification at the back. Now, some say that word is borough or burg. The problem is with the English language, UGH means whatever you want it to mean. So that's when the locals say Edinburgh was established. And it does remain part of Angleland for about 300 years. Then came this Irish tribe. This Irish tribe had been up north for a few centuries. When they came across, they had dark brown hair, they go to war with blonde-haired Vikings, and both sides have red-haired babies. And these red-haired descendants made their way down south and took this region in the 11th century. These were the Scots. So to summarise it all, the Picts had it, then the Brits had it, then the Angles had it, then the Scots had it. Then the Angles became the English. The English and Scots, English and Scots, English and Scots, sheep had Dutch, sheep had English and Scots, English and Scots, English and Scotland came together, and now the British have it. And that's the full castle history. Now, as for the current castle, see the building in the round shape at the front, with the Scottish flag at the front? That used to be 3 times taller. It was built up in the 14th century, and it was called David's Tower. Did anyone here watch Game of Thrones?
Sure.
A few Game of Thrones fans. According to George R.R. Martin, the man who wrote Game of Thrones, it had sky cells. They are prison cells where one side is open to a cliff face. You could either wait out your sentence with the wind and rain coming into your cell, or jump out your cell and commit suicide, up to you. Now that's what George said. I've done my research, I found no evidence, but I am a Game of Thrones fan, I am running with it. And the reason why it's not 3 times taller is indirectly because of Mary, Queen of Scots. Now, you might have heard of Mary, very popular nowadays. In her time period, they didn't like her. Because first of all, she was a female head of state, she was also a Catholic, but they didn't like Catholics, and she was about 6'2", when most men were about 5'4", they didn't like that either. And she murdered her husband, who was very popular at the time, a man called Lord Darnley. Now, to be fair, Lord Darnley did deserve to be murdered. But Scots didn't like the fact their queen killed a guy and got away with it. So she ended up fleeing south. One of her supporters, William Corclady, held the castle for a year and a half in her name. That's when the Scots invited the English to come up here with their new cannons and use them on David's Tower. And when the top 2/3 fell, William came out and surrendered, and they gave him the honourable death of getting his head chopped off. Now, unfortunately, all my stories will end that way. That's because bad news is big news. Everyone remembers the gory stuff. Let's go a little bit closer. Follow me around this way. This way.
Sun feels nice.
Front of the castle here, this all got beautified by Queen Victoria. Now, Queen Victoria came up here in the 1860s, and she thought Edinburgh was a bit ugly. So she commissioned the new Port Chalice gates, so gentrifying the place. She also said she wanted the castle to have a moat. Now, moats only work on ground level, but she wanted the moat, she got a moat. On either side of the two heroes of Scottish history, we have William Wallace. He's on the right-hand side. He's who the movie Braveheart is very loosely based on. Now, William Wallace was a great general. He won the Battle of Stirling Bridge, but that movie is very inaccurate. But it's a good movie. Well, it's good for tourism, Braveheart, so I do like it. But the true Braveheart is actually Robert the Bruce. He's on the left. He won Scottish independence in 1314 by winning the Battle of Bannockburn. He also knocked Edinburgh Castle completely to the ground. You see, the English took Edinburgh Castle in 1297. Then in 1314, his nephew Thomas Randolph, he managed to get into the castle with 40 men. See, one man in the castle was worth 10 men on the ground. There's 100 men inside Edinburgh Castle, but Thomas and his 40 men, well, they went up a secret goat's path. See, Thomas knew a former guard who told him that quite often the Scottish guards, when the commanding officers weren't looking, would sneak out of the castle, go around a secret goat's path, and then head to a local pub. So he went from that pub up the goat's path, got around from the back, climbed over the walls. Thomas then ran down, fought the guards, opened up the gates. Robert comes in, and he takes Edinburgh Castle. The thing is, he couldn't leave enough men here to hold it. You see, back then, if you wanted to hold Scotland, you had to hold Edinburgh Castle and Stirling Castle. He didn't have enough men to hold both, so he took Edinburgh Castle and knocked this to the ground, getting rid of this key. Then went and took Stirling. So, I do like Robert the Bruce, but he did knock the place to the ground. And the reason why he's the true Braveheart is because on his deathbed, he asked for his heart to be taken and buried in Jerusalem. And along the way, the Scots were attacked by a Spanish army, and the Scottish general threw Robert the Bruce's heart out in front of him and yelled out, "Lead the way, Robert!" And the Scots ran into the battle. So that's where you get the legend of Braveheart from. He also picked the heart back up again and went on and lost, but it inspired bravery. You can also see the sigil of the Lion Rampant. Now, if you're Game of Thrones fans, that's the Lannister sigil. He just switched the colours around. And underneath it is the motto of the Scottish royal family, Nemo impune laceris, which means no one cuts us with impunity. What it really means is, no one messes with us and gets away with it, which is a very cool motto. Also, from this obelisk, well, we're not entirely sure where the border is. I'd like to think it's roughly from the obelisk across, all the way up to the Half Moon Battery. All of this is technically Canada. Because when they were colonising their own part of Canada, Nova Scotia, that was in the 1625, the law was you must stand on Canadian soil to purchase Canadian soil. A lot of rich people were saying, hey, we don't want to have to go to Canada. We just want to buy the land, put it on a map, and then show it off to guests. Can you find a loophole? So they did by getting people to dig up Canadian soil, dump it through the area, declare this is Canada, so you didn't have to go all the way to Canada, you just come here and make the deal. Now, it's still technically Canada. There's actually a little shield of Nova Scotia I'll point out as we walk in, proving the Canadian soil. But because this is Canada, they say in theory a Canadian could murder any one of us. Now, they to their home soil, they can't be arrested by the Scottish police. So just in general, don't trust Canadians. But I think it's time we actually headed in. So everyone, take out or get your tickets out, follow me around this way.